Welcome to Aspire to Lead, where we empower educators and school leaders to grow, inspire, and thrive. I'm your host, Joshua Stamper, author, speaker, and leadership coach, bringing you conversations that spark transformation, challenge the status quo in education, and equip you to make a lasting impact on your campus or in your district. For more information and resources, visit joshstamper.com as we're looking to ascend to new leadership heights together. All right, welcome back. I got a special person with me. We haven't been together since February of this year, which is hurting my heart, but I have the amazing Jeff Gargas with me. So, sir, welcome back, and welcome to a brand new video for those who are watching on YouTube.
I like the video. Is that you climbing the mountain?
You would think so in Colorado, but no.
Yeah, no, you totally could. That's why I asked. It totally could be. That's something your family would go do as a family. Let's climb this mountain. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been like a quarter of the year at this point. It's been more than 3 months.
Wow.
That is absolutely unacceptable, John. It's not okay.
It's not okay, and I take full responsibility.
Okay. Yeah,
full responsibility.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if we listened back to that episode, I'm pretty sure we were going to get back on track.
Yeah.
However, the other day we met up just to catch up.
Yeah,
and we did put on the books. We put monthly,
yeah.
right? A monthly meetup. So we are going to be able to do more of these. I think more consistently. Possibly, we'll see. We'll see how often we.
Isn't there a leadership lesson in that, Jeff? That you set a goal, but then you don't put the things in place to create the habits necessary for that goal to actually happen.
To summarize, Jeff and Josh suck at goal setting and execution.
We're getting better.
But there's a good point there. It's easy to, when you're in the moment of something, and you're having a conversation with someone, or maybe you're excited about it, or we say it all the time, during a PD session or during a keynote, when you're at a conference, or whatever it might be, to get excited and set a bunch of goals and then not follow through with those things. And I think that's, to your point, the lesson in there is I think twofold. One is to check yourself when you're in those moments to make sure that you revisit goals that you're setting and make sure that they actually align with what you want to do, your overall mission and vision and goals, that they are realistic, and that you actually then go through, a SMART goals activity or however you normally set goals and actually lay it out. So, yeah, I think there is definitely a lesson there, and we did not do that. We were just excited in the moment, and last week we did do that. We said, okay, we're not going to do this just on a whim because we have busy lives. Let's put something on the books so that there's always a time booked for us every month where we could do these sessions. Now, we might not every month, but we could.
Definitely could.
Yeah.
And that's the idea.
Okay. See, look, boom. That was a great episode. I think we can wrap.
Starting off strong, Gargas. So, for those who are tuning in, I want to welcome you back because this is the 38th Aspire Mailbag. And of course, I'm here with my good friend, CEO and co-founder of Teach Better, Jeff Gargas, who's representing an old school Aspire Lead mug.
I put this up right as you were going to the video, and so you didn't see it. This is for those that are not watching. I'm drinking coffee out of my first coffee. Then I lead. #Aspire to Lead coffee mug. One of my favorites.
Cheers, sir. I got another one behind me.
I see the one behind you. Yeah,
classic logo. Yes.
Those are both from teachbetterswag.com.
It is. We're representing this morning.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Let's actually talk about something that's valuable.
Yeah. So again, for those who may be new, this is a first time listening to this type of episode. We reach out to the listeners asking for leadership questions. And so we go to social media. I've got my Aspire Lead cohort group that I can tap into, or we have various Voxer groups too that we throw this out to. This week, I've got someone from Voxer, Jeff, and I've got someone who actually emailed me. So we have 2 questions we're going to answer. And so super excited. The first one is from the Aspire Lead cohort. So if you're new and you don't know what that is, we go twice a month that we meet with aspiring leaders from all over the country. And this group comes together to get some knowledge, wisdom, and of course, get some support from other people in the same area. And this wonderful lady, Sharon, she's in Texas. She's an aspiring leader, and she has a brand new principal, Jeff, in the building. And she is worried because her old principal supported her, but this new principal is brand new to the district, new to the campus, and she's wondering what should she do to make sure that her leadership journey doesn't start back at ground zero.
Ooh, so she has a leader of her, so she's an aspiring leader.
Yep,
has been working with this person who obviously believed in her and leaving. Really, that's tough because you're I have this good relationship. I put some time and effort into this journey, and they could just get ripped away.
Yep.
It reminds me of Rudy. when he was all set to play and dress and then swapped, and then the players had to come in and put the jersey down.
Great.
I think my gut goes right away to like, is you have to build that relationship with them. And ideally, and this may not be possible, ideally the outgoing principal, if they are still there this time of year, they could be or maybe not be, or if they are having playing any kind of part in the transition, having conversations with the new leader, is actually just flat out ask them, Josh, can you mention to, Kathy, who's coming in, all the work we've done? Like, I still really lead. I think I'm ready. You and I have talked, and I just don't want to lose all the progress that I made. Would you be able to put in a good word? And hopefully that person will. Now, that might not be possible. So I think an important piece would then be to, at the appropriate time, have a connection with that principal. Not hey, can we talk about my leadership journey? But hey, I'm excited that you're coming to work with us and lead us. I want to make sure that I am performing the best I can for what you are bringing to our team and any changes that might be made and the vision you have. And so I'd love to connect with you and just figure out, how do I make sure that I am the best, I can't remember if you said like best teacher or best coach or whatever your role is now, best team member on your new team as you take over, and then so make it about supporting them. And that's what it should be about. It should be, and then you can now learn from this new leader, like, what are they looking at? Are they going to come in and change things? Are they going to try and just keep the ship rolling? How do they lead, et cetera, et cetera? And then that gives you the ability. One, it makes the connection, but also it's just going to hopefully make everything easier, smoother. But I think any good leader would then recognize that as this is someone, like Josh reached out to me before I got here. Like, that's a teacher I want to make sure I keep my eye on, or I'm going to, and stuff. So I think that is how I would approach that.
Yeah, 100% correct. I had this actually happen, Jeff. I don't know if you remember, in my leadership journey, I had a principal who believed in me. She gave me every opportunity.
That's right. And they left.
And she left. And there's a brand new guy. He was in district, but I didn't know him from Adam. So for me, I was sweating big time because I was thinking, okay, every opportunity that I was provided, I was in admin meetings, I was a part of every decision for the campus, which I didn't deserve, but this principal believed that I should have that opportunity. And I felt like I was a part of this admin team to go in, okay, is all that going to be yanked away from me? And am I feeling like Sharon here, or I'm going back to zero? So thankfully, this principal that was leaving gave a good word, but I made a couple things. I made a couple efforts to make sure that, when he visited the campus in the spring for the first time, I was right in center in front of him, trying to make a very good first impression. When he gave his, speech to the staff, introducing himself, I was taking notes in regards to his beliefs, his initiatives, the things that he was going to do and focus on for the next year. So that way, when I did have the conversation, to your point, with him, that I could talk about my strengths that were aligned with those initiatives and the things that he believed in. And that way, it was an easy connection point. So thankfully, the principal had that conversation beforehand. So he had some good thoughts about what I was. But it's one thing to have that conversation. It's another then to live up to the expectation that's presented. So I was there not only building trust before I started asking for things, but also I was available. I was there all the time asking, what can I do for that principal, to make sure that he understood that I was all in and I was a resource for him, versus just someone saying like, I would like to someday become an assistant principal.
It's that whole actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
And I love the note and sort of approach of that you were taking notes to understand their beliefs and stuff like that. And when you can, and we can look at that from that's a good, and I'm going to use the word selfish, but I don't mean it in a negative way, but like a good selfish thing to do of making sure that you know how to appeal to them and to connect the dots stuff. But I think something that happens a lot of times, like when we have these types of conversations, and like we forget that like that relationship is a two-way street. Like part of you becoming a leader is you recognizing and finding ways that you can support other people, even if they are your leader. You're supposed to support your leaders. They're supposed to support you more, but you are supposed to. Like that's part of the contract there that you have. And so I think looking for that and understanding, okay, how do I actually support this person? Because one, that's going to make them a better leader, which is going to make everything better for everyone, theoretically, hopefully. And then also, side notes, also going to help you in your leadership journey, because a good leader is going to recognize that. They're going to appreciate that. They're going to pay attention to you, even if they're not even realizing that they are. And the little things, Josh, I think like I'm in the front of the room at PDs, at conversations, at meetings. I'm taking notes so they can literally see me writing. I'm not taking it on my phone. I'm taking them so they can see. I'm sitting in the middle, and when they're giving speech, I'm taking notes of what they're saying, even though it's a rah-rah speech, so that I understand like that person took time to write that rah-rah speech. So those are things that are important to him or her. And so, yeah, I think the investing in getting to know the leader without the sole intent of getting something out of it, I think is a key piece too. And because they'll recognize that. So I like that.
And I think it is a two-way street in the sense too that, a brand new principal, it's like drinking from a fire hose. They're getting a ton of information. They're stressed out. And so the best ability is availability. So if you're there consistently, they're going to tap into that because they're overwhelmed. They're stressed out. Yeah. And so they can't do it alone, and they need to find people that have various strengths to lean on. And to your point, if they are a good leader, they're going to want to lift people up, to lift people out. They don't want stagnant people. They want people to grow, and they want people to extend out, because we don't hire you just for our campus. We're hiring you for the district in the hopes that you are built up to then move into those various positions. And that could be on that campus or somewhere else. And so thankfully I had a good leader that had that mindset and really wanted to pour into me. So hopefully I'm assuming that this person that's coming in to that building for Sharon is going to do the same thing.
Hopefully. Yeah, well, good luck.
Yes, very much so. All right. Well, it could be a very good thing. And I do think, and I share this with Sharon, is that it is good to have different perspectives in regards to how to build a leader. If you're only with one person and you only get that mindset and those experiences that they think that you should have, you may get trapped in a situation that's not great. And for me, I loved my old principal. Shout out to Ann Aston. But, Dr. Perry coming in was exactly what I needed at that time. And it was a more strategic look on how to move up into that AP role. And I say this passionately, I don't think I would have made that move as quickly without his guidance. And so I think it is a good perspective. I know it looks like you're going to ground zero, and you could probably be sweating this out as you're seeing that, but it could be something that's really needed in that moment. All right. Should we go to question number 2 here?
Let's go.
All right. So this one is actually a principal out in your area that reached out via email. And his question is in regards to my second book, The Language of Behavior. So it looks like he read that, is using that as kind of a resource moving into the new year. So thank you for that. And he's asking, how can I help my teachers move away from a more punitive look on discipline and toward more a relationship-based discipline strategy, so that way we can maintain order, support student growth, and it doesn't feel like it's an unfair sacrifice of the teacher's time?
This sounds like a Josh goes first question.
This is in my wheelhouse for sure, but I definitely want your perspective. Book. You didn't write the book. I mean, I've done a lot of work with language of behavior with Teach Better, so you've been an inspirational and
I have thoughts on the question, but yours are more important right now. So.
Well, I'll start with this, and I'll lay it up to you. But I think when I was doing this work, Jeff, if you remember, this was 2 different campuses, 2 different districts, and with both of those experiences of trying to implement a new, to his point, a relationship-based discipline system, I think a lot of the times teachers feel a loss of control, a loss of time, a loss of punishment. They think it's like kumbaya when they hear specifically a term like restorative practices. And then the last piece is they feel like students aren't going to be motivated to have good behavior based on this. And I always had to push back. So I think the main thing is that you have to understand that this work is going to require a long runway. So it's not like the first month you do a PD and everyone has this light bulb moment and sees the light and starts to make the changes and it's going to happen overnight. That's not, of course, going to happen. This is something, as you know, Jeff, with initiatives, because you and Teach Better does this all the time. I mean, this is like a 3 or 4 year systematic change that's going to occur. And so I would just say that you're going to want to start with some very simple things at the very beginning, because if you try to push too hard, too fast, what's going to happen is that it's going to feel like a top-down initiative that's being forced upon them. And if a teacher feels that, I'm going to the first thing is feeling of loss of control, they're not going to do it, or they're not going to do it with fidelity. And that's the last thing you want, because that's how initiatives die. And so I would look at, first off, looking at just a common language that you can all agree upon and allow the teachers to be a part of that process. I know you know my story, Jeff, as far as like creating a relationship action team. And the reason I did that, which was a grassroots movement, was starting small and then allowing that to grow over time to make it something that was campus wide. And the reason I did that was because I didn't want teachers to feel like they were not a part of the decision making, not a part of the learning. And I definitely didn't want them to feel like I was mandating something to them. And so I would just look at ways that you could do that, where you're bringing people in, disciples, if you will, people that have the same belief system, that are going to champion. And that way it's more peer to peer as far as conversations and creating some of that buy-in versus it just coming from admin all the time. So I would start with common language and getting people, because, for instance, consequences, just that term alone, you might have 50 different ways of defining that. And that can be really frustrating when you think, okay, I'm saying consequences. I have this belief system and this definition, but everybody in the room has a different outlook on that and is using it in a different way. And so I think if you can create like a common language first, that'll get everybody on board. But then also the first year is really just doing a mind shift of what these are about and really pushing into the idea that if done right, they're not going to lose power or control with their students. They're not going to lose time, because time is going to be a part of student discipline regardless. It's either you're going to do it on the front end or you're going to do it on the back end. And I promise you the back end is far greater in time than on the front end. And then as far as consequences, the students are still going to receive those. And then of course, motivation shouldn't be on fear. It shouldn't be fear-based. It should be more about the relationship and the trust that's built between the teacher and the student. So I think it's the first year is really about the mindset and getting everybody on the same page.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny, like as you were saying all that, I was just nodding along, because that's how we approach every single initiative that we roll out with schools. Big, little, complex, simple, doesn't matter, because to your point, like if you push it onto teachers and it's like, hey, up till now we do it this way, but starting tomorrow everything changes, like the natural human instinct is to push back no matter what it is, always. And also, these aren't like simple changes, simple things, like especially when you're talking about behavior, right? Because we're dealing with humans and little ones, still forming type humans, right? But also adult humans who also have emotions and reactions and different personalities. And we're also talking about a system, a large system that typically moves slow, has a lot of different moving parts, has a lot of different stakeholder parties and stuff like that. So any kind of change, whether it's instructional, pedagogical, behavior related, doesn't matter. It takes time, right? Because that's just the reality. And so when you start changing things, there's going to be hiccups. There's going to be roadblocks you didn't expect it. There's going to be obstacles that are bigger than you thought. You talk about like starting small. We almost always start small. Sometimes schools don't listen to us, and sometimes it still works. But that's our recommended pedagogy. How we go into stuff is you start small first. That first year is all about, you touched on, you said like it's all about the mindset shift. And for us, it's all about mindset shift plus figuring out those bottlenecks and those obstacles on a smaller scale, because when they're on a smaller scale, they're a whole lot easier to take care of. When it's school-wide or even just grade band-wide or subject-wide, whatever, a small thing becomes very big very quickly because it affects all of it, right? And so testing it with that group, and you call them disciples, we call them early adopters or a pilot group or whatever you want to call it, right? People who buy into the idea initially and are willing to try it at the least and go, okay, we're going to start with this and we're going to start changing the way these 10 teachers or 20 teachers or whatever approach discipline in their classrooms. Everyone else is going to operate as normal, right? And that's just the way it is. And we're going to start adapting this, because what you're going to find is that some other teachers are going to notice and be like, I noticed that, Josh does X, Y, Z. Like, what is that? Oh, that's the thing you guys talked about. Okay, can I try that too? And then some are also going to be like, that's stupid. It's still stupid. I think it's dumb. And that's okay. But if you're able to then over the first year, 2 or 3, show that it works with your kids in your community, with your systems, and you're fixing those little things, at some point, it's no longer a conversation of what do you think it'll work? It's hey, this works. So like, come on, let me help you come on board now. And so I think that's what's important. The common language, I think, is massive and massively overlooked by most people. And we do the same thing when we're working with a district and similar things of like, we always, one of the very first things we do when we're strategically planning with whether it's school leaders or district leaders, is figure out a couple things, common language in the sense of, we look at, because we're talking obviously from instruction, we're going, okay, what are the 3 to 5 things that we are going to agree upon as a team, whether school-wide or district-wide, that we would like to see in all of our classrooms? What are those things that need to be occurring in the classrooms? And the teachers are part of that conversation as much as possible. And then it's okay. This is what we're actually doing. So when we come in, we're not doing teach better stuff or the grid method. We're actually doing these 3 to 5 things. It just so happens that we're going to bring teach better in, and they're going to offer training on this thing called the grid method that we think will help you check off these 5 boxes. One of the things that I think is weird about us when we do training on something like the grid method, which is like our star product, is like, we don't care if you do it. If you're able to check off those 3 boxes, 4 boxes, whatever that your school or district has agreed with, we don't care if you're doing a good method, do it. But if you can't do it without it, you should use it, because we know it will, right? And so it's the same thing here. It's like, okay, great. What are the things that we need to see when it comes to discipline and behavior, and how we handle these relationships, and what are we working on? And to your point, I love the consequences. What does that mean, right? What does consequence mean? What does redirect mean? What does whatever the different terminology are, like in our world, it's what does grading mean? What does assessment? Are they the same thing or are they different? What is reporting? What does retake actually mean, right? All those things, so that when someone has an issue with it, we all know what we're talking about. We all know the goals that we're trying to get to. So that's super important. Having the teachers involved as much as humanly possible is really important too. I've found over the last 11 plus years that there's a balance to walk, because a lot of teachers, and this isn't teachers, a lot of people, this is just human nature. A lot of us say we want to have a say in things, but a lot of times we don't actually want to say in everything, because sometimes we just want a decision made for us, because otherwise we have to make way too many decisions. And that's literally the point of having different roles. So it's important to get the feedback and get the information, but as a leader, you need to then assess that and make the decisions. I think a lot of people hear teachers need to be involved and are like, oh, I'm going to have 38 opinions in a room. It's like, no, sometimes being involved is just making sure it's being very clearly communicated with them, so that if there's a huge red flag, it can be brought up. But a lot of people are like, hey, as long as my boss is telling me and I understand why we're doing this new thing, I'm going to give it a go. We're going to go, right? So I think that's big. And then the last piece was just the long-term thing. It's got to be long-term. Anything worth doing is going to take a while in a school. Like, that's just the way. I mean, you can't turn it around in one year. Like, it's not going to happen. And then the last thing I'll say, sorry, I said that was the last, but the last thing I'll say is going back to, and this was not necessarily per the question, but you mentioned about the relationship base versus like I saw what you put. Josh just put a thing on screen and says, this is the real last thing. The lead, not leading with fear, and the relationship, and they feel like they're losing control, losing that. Something that I always say in the world of like leadership outside of school, but in general, is that people follow their bosses because they're afraid of losing their job. People follow leaders because they're afraid of losing their respect. And the same is true for students. Students will follow a teacher that punishes, that is strict, whatever, but they're following them because they're afraid of getting punishment. And that may have to be how you lead sometimes. And that may, for certain students, that may have to, and it likely will work, but it's not going to actually have the long-term impact that teachers really want to have. So you got to find that balance. It's not kumbaya. It's not do whatever you want, but find the balance between, hey, I'm not strict. We just have strict boundaries in this classroom. And those boundaries are built off of a mutual respect relationship. And if you're not going to mutually respect that relationship, then I'm going to go this other way. So whatever consequences mean. But in this class, I'm going to do that. And that also takes time to build.
Oh, for sure.
So I literally remember my the 10th grade math teacher in my high school. When I was a freshman, we heard about his class, and it was he's strict, but if you're not a jerk, he's really cool. And I'm like, oh. And then I, thinking back, 2020, right? Hindsight, like, he built relationships with us. He was very strict. Like, he had very strict. If you crossed the line, he did not hesitate. But if you didn't, like, he gave you a lot of chances to not cross the line because he built these relationships. And I think those are two very different things than just the teacher that's like, if you talk, you're gone. It's an understanding. So I think it's a line to walk. So I'm going to stop talking.
You did a great job.
Sometimes, Josh, maybe that's why we don't do as many of these episodes, because when we're done, Josh is just like exhausted. He's like, normally I talk on my podcast, and I don't get to talk on my podcast anymore. Most of my guests don't take up 79% of the time.
Actually, that's not true, and my listeners know that. My guests do, and that's intentional. I bring on great people to
so maybe it's the other way around. Maybe on these mailbag episodes, they're all like, why is Josh talking so much?
Pretty much. It is the reverse.
Just the intro, Josh. Sure. That's all we need, buddy. No.
That's why I bring you on, buddy. But no, I think you're right. I think everything you said, I think regardless of what the initiative is, there's a way to build it, and it does take a long runway. So folks just need to understand that, especially when you're talking about turnover and things that happen year to year. You're having to then reteach that same stuff to make sure that it's part of your culture. Things that we don't think about when we first start, but as it's going on in year 3, year 4, where we have to just make sure that we're massaging it consistently to make sure that it's system wide and it's just a part of what this campus does.
Yeah, that's the thing right there. It's like, are you just trying to check a box for a cool new trend, or are you actually trying to change the way your campus does things? Can I tie it really quickly back to the initial question of like the new leader, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So there's likely going to be new initiatives in your school, new directions that this other leader might take you. Your role as an aspiring leader, one of your many roles, is how do you bridge the gap between the teachers that are going to be resistant to a new leader, let alone resistant to a new leader who has a new idea, and the new leader? How do you help your colleagues and the teachers that you're hoping to lead one day? How do you help them also come over with you and help support this leader? And how do you help that leader, the new leader who's coming in, communicate clearly and connect with and build that long-term stuff with your colleagues? I think that's kind of a cool tie-in between the two of this, because that also takes time. As anyone on a leadership journey knows, it's a journey.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, since we're bringing it back, I just want to make note that it's summertime. If you are looking for a group of people to support you, get some wisdom into your leadership journey, and you're seeking something greater than the position that you're in, head over to joshsever.com/leadership-cohorts. You can find more information about how to join in. We have some amazing people all over the country that are joining this cohort to make sure that they're supporting each other and getting the tools needed to make sure that they're getting the experiences to get in that new role. And so excited about the new year. And if that's you, if that's where you're at right now and you want to join, head over there for more information. All right, Jeff, my favorite question I throw out to you each time is, what's going on with the Teach Better team?
I think the biggest thing right now we're super excited about is we just recently, in the last month or so here, relaunched the Teach Better Academy. So we've had the Teach Better Academy since 2018.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been a while.
We've had online courses since 2015, but we did the Teach Better Academy in 2018. That's where we launched. We had more courses, and we started where you could buy the membership and get access to all of them for just the subscription price, which back then we priced at $9 a month because that was quote unquote the price of Netflix, which is a whole lot more now.
It's different now.
But we relaunched, and one of the things that we did is we've realized over the last couple of years, and that like we have been doing a lot of stuff as a team, and we got away from doing the things that really built Teach Better into what we loved, which was just the connection in the spaces that we created to allow educators to come together from all over the country, all over the world, to support each other, to be excited, and to be better for students. And so we were trying to figure out how do we do that while also kind of reinvigorating and updating the academy. And so we moved it over onto a platform called Circle, which embeds the courses and the community. Like, it's basically our own little social media network that's just us. No ads, no algorithms, no trolls, just passionate educators. And the courses are also built in there. So that's over at teachbetteracademy.com. You can sign up for free. There's there's free courses in there. We have monthly events. There's the access to the community is all free. There's free resources, all that stuff. However, there's also a paid tier, like we've always had, which unlocks some of our paid courses that go a little bit more in depth. We're getting ready to release the first one. We got several like more in-depth resources that are actually like paid things that we sell outside of there. Will also be included in the paid membership. And then we have some future stuff we're working on that are going to be paid, like workshops and events and stuff that are going to be exclusive to the paid thing. That right now you can grab for 30 days for free, test out all of the full access, and then you can lock in the current price of $9 a month for life. Soon that's going to go up to $20 a month, just because we just have to adjust based on where we're at. However, here's what we're going to do though. If you go over there and you go through the checkout process, you put in the code ASPIRE, it's going to take 50% off for life as well. That means you could actually go get it for $450 a month for life.
Wow.
So that's just, 38 episodes in. It's Josh. We love this group. I will note also that the Aspire to Lead book study the Aspire book study is in there. That's with the free. And I was joking earlier, but I'm not joking. Like, we're also going to make Josh do more courses with us over there at some point. So, but yeah, so it's over there. So if you go to teachbetteracademy.com, and then again, you can just sign up for a free account and just grab that, or you can do the 30-day trial and lock in the price, use Aspire. And by the way, if you're in a 30-day trial and you decide you don't want to, you can just change that to a free account, like no problem. Before the 30 days, it's not an issue. So, but if you use Aspire, you're locking that cheap price forever. So
yeah, lifetime. That's
awesome. We're really excited about that. It's gotten great feedback so far. So we're excited to see those conversations, and we have a bunch of ideas for different events and stuff like that. So,
well, I know the catalog, it's brilliant. And, I've had an opportunity to be a part of that for, I don't know, 5-6 years with Teach Better.
There's at least one other course that you're on in there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I should have at least one other one.
Yes.
It's Crucial Conversations, right?
Brilliant. Yeah. The difficult, tough topics. I should know the name of that course.
I should too, since I built it, but it is on Tough Conversations, and Erin, she's amazing. It was really fun to build that with her, but
just trust me, bro. It's good. Okay. That's what I feel like we were just doing.
Just trust me.
Trust me, bro. It's good. No, yeah, it's good stuff. So we're excited. We've got some other awesome educator friends that are going to be doing some courses for us and stuff too.
Very cool.
And that's really exciting and fun. And hopefully come over and have some good conversation with us. So
yeah. So we'll make sure the link obviously is in the show notes for folks for the Teach Better Academy. And that way you can just click the link, head over there, and then of course use Aspire for your 50% off for your lifetime. And that's an awesome deal. So thank you for that, Jeff, and hooking up our listeners for that discount. So Jeff, as always, man, it's been great to connect with you, catch up a little bit, and then try to make sure that our habits are established, that we can jump on once a month and do this more often. So miss you, buddy. And it was great seeing you once again.
Let's see if we can do it next month too. Appreciate you, dude. This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. Explore more podcasts at www.teachbetterpodcastnetwork.com. We'll see you on the next episode.